Aloha Yang Gang, Big Island, Hawaii. Tell you what, today we're going to have a quick one. As always, in the description there's going to be links to news articles, Twitter information, and other videos on YouTube that I've basically surmised and put down here to save everybody time. I've been trying to keep these down to 5 or 10 minutes, but I keep kind of pushing towards the 10-minute mark. Anywho, daily Big Island updates under 5 minutes generally. Today, Kai talks about MSNBC, how Andrew's been getting tougher questions. He returns after the media blackout, has a couple conversations. The long story short of it, the questions he's getting, Kai never really said this, but the actual word that he was looking for is leading. The questions are leading. So basically, everything that's coming out of the news is not any research. Nobody actually read into his policies, went through MFRA, and figured out what it was. They just asked this leading question. Same way they did to Bernie in 2016, and now in this year's elections process, we're talking about Medicare for all as if it's nothing. Then, remember, nobody talked about it. Now it's just a given issue. So, long story short, first you talk about it, they laugh at you, then they make fun of you, then they kind of agree with you, and then they use it as their own. People are going to be talking these points. Anyway, Kai talks about the MSC breakdown. You can tell that the news anchor didn't really read the plans. He also pointed out that when people get turned on to Andrew Yang in the future, or you come to a channel like this that's covering it, or you go to Paget or Mindful Skeptics, or Matt and Zach or PSB, any of these, the long story short is the people that are doing these are putting this information forth, and they're either having a really Andrew Yang bias, like everything's about Andrew Yang, or they're just really interested to get the message across. Some of the ones that I put in here, like Kai, are definitely Yang Gang, but then other ones that I put from like The Hill, which I'm talking about next, are more across the spectrum of the Democratic Party. They see things as what they are, and they talk about the issues, and they'll have people from both sides. So moving on to The Hill. I put one link in here, but once you get to the channel, if you've got time, go through all of their last 2 days, up to the last 16 hours. Every video has a lot of information, and what the breakdown is today is Sagar was filling in, and he did a report on the billionaire class, where that money is, where it's going, and what happens when billionaires think they're getting tax benefits and breaks from just doing their normal patriotic duty of paying taxes. Talked about a specific billionaire who got a tax break, and the only reason why I got that in his claim was that he's been paying his taxes all of his life. He opened up jobs to people that didn't necessarily have jobs, the American dream, and yet he's qualified for tax breaks. And all we're simply saying as the Democratic Party is those tax breaks should also be given to the bottom 80%. Okay, moving on. Go through all the Hill's videos. In summation of that, they talk about Michael Moore in one video and how he thinks that the Democrats are hurting themselves with contrasting the billionaire elite class. Bottom story is, to be informed about this information, you need to go to these websites, take 5 to 10 minutes and see what they're talking about. Moving on, Humanity First. Sean talks about the email to the DNC. Basically, it calls to the DNC as also a business. It also gains money, takes money, distributes it, and puts it out. Just because the DNC is the opposition to the GOP doesn't mean anything about where the money goes. And also, why are the requirements for debates changing, as well as how come there's no polls that are set that are being done? How come there hasn't really been a poll since the end of November? Stuff like that. Today, Russell with Grassroots was at Coffee, and he had Yang speaking, and we got a shout out. Oh, awesome. Check it out. I would say check it out. It's a great video. Andrew covers a lot of his stump speech, but he also answers the questions as usual, and you can tell that authentic, straightforward approach is there. Oh no, I think the wind's going to blow me over. All right, around 4 minutes. Moving on to the Twitter feeds. Basically, Nerds for Yang. Tom talked about bias in a podcast that he listened to randomly. It seems as if even the people who aren't quite possibly anti-Trump aren't following him as if you would think. They're posing questions about the color spectrum of the candidates in the DNC and the candidate, and what they're saying is basically Yang is not colored, or not that that's an issue, but they're not talking about it in the idea that there is a candidate out there that represents that ideology that isn't left or right, it's forward, and nobody else is talking about the things he's talking about, and they're not covering that because of the media bias. But even when they're talking about media bias, they're talking about Harris and Booker and Gabbard still, and Yang's not even mentioned, so that has to be some form of bias in and of itself. Long story short, Tom has a great explanation, goes through the podcast segment by segment, and gives a really in-depth observation on what the 3 leads of that podcast are doing. 538 podcast. No mention of Yang. So odd. Anyway, going back to that coffee, check out Andrew giving a speech today, and also Matt and Zach covered another New Hampshire speech today, which I will put down in the description. I just didn't get a chance to watch it. Anywho, moving on to Twitter. Twitter is popping right now about the polls question. Andrew sent this letter to the DNC, to Tom, and he's asking what's up with these polls. So watch his Twitter feed if you need a quick update, minute to minute. A lot of other news stations are covering that as well. NBC, CNN, and hopefully even Fox will cover it. It would be interesting. Seems like they get a lot of talking points off of watching that. And lastly, donate. We are, last time I checked, at a little under 2.5 mil. So we're going for 3 mil. That's easily attainable. The deadline by the FEC is December 31st. So get those in today. Get them in today. Go to yang2020.com and donate. Email us at YangGangHawaiiBigIsland@gmail if you'd like to get any updates. Be involved, volunteer, and we're having a meeting January 5th. We're picking one location. Tune into this channel to get information about that. That'll be on January 5th. One location, and we're going to put that meeting that we have, trying to get organized, talk about what resources we have, how we could be most used on the island, and what's the best way to get Andrew's policies and his name recognition out. When the Iowa primaries happen, there's going to be a flow of people on the island that are going to want information. Let's have a resource for them. We've already done one event. We had a trash pickup, and we like to do many more events. The meeting in and of itself will be an event, but other than that, we'll be doing stuff like math classes, trash pickups again. We'll be doing canvassing, phone to phone, door to door. Our primary is April 4th, so we want to go door to door and leave door hangers that say, "Are you registered to vote?" Anywho, all that's coming up. Go to yangprints.com and get your flyers today free. Just go print them out. That's a great way to get the news out. And go to Yang Daily 10. At Yang Daily 10, you can spend 10 minutes a day doing something for the campaign. Not only do you get a little bit more educated on the policies, but you have 10 minutes to see what other people are doing. Some of the things are like buy a yard sign. Some of them are sign up to vote. Some of them are sign up other people to vote. Make sure you go to vote411.org and register to vote. And once again, meeting here, Big Island, January 5th. Get involved. Email us at YangGangHawaiiBigIsland@gmail. Put something in the comments below if you have a suggestion for the show. And as always, look in the descriptions. Thank you. Donate.